Hey everyone, welcome back again to the Iconist podcast. How you guys doing? Wish we can do this live so we can hear you guys coming back with the reactions, but if not, you know what to do. Leave the comments below and we will get back to you. I know I sing, but I can't sing. I'm one of your hosts. I am Barry 3D for Deep Dark Delicious. You know where to find me, barry3d.com, for anything that I'm attached to and doing. Check my blog, check my tour dates, check all that stuff, because you know I'm here online, I'm doing shows live, I'm all over the place. And this is a wonderful, wonderful day, because any day you get to spend with family who likes you, because sometimes you're with family and some family don't like you. But so I'm happy that I work with family that likes me, family that I have fun with, a family member that shares my passion, my madness, been there with me from day one. And I know because we family, but you know, sometimes, right, with day one, he's been there with the madness and supporting everything I do and the craziness. You know, the man, the myth, the legend, the one that will blow out your backbone, right? And I don't mean nothing bad. I'm just saying because the woofers will, the music is going to be pumping. And in the distance you hear is Saturday Love, the one and only who? My cousin,
DJ Rod C. Let's do it.
DJ Rod C. Oh, yes. So I played around with my chair here. So at one point I was a little bit too high. Now I'm a little too low. It's like, you know, short people problems. Okay, don't judge me. Don't judge me. Bayesian with a plan.
Bayesian with a plan. Bayesian with a plan.
Right?
Hey,
so
welcome.
You guys,
welcome, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks, Rod. That's it, man. You know where to find us all. You know the deal. And let's just do the real quick round table. One, the man who makes us look so pretty on this one, the one and only, who are we talking about, Rod?
J Bird Digital Art.
J Bird Digital Arts. Hell yeah. Jay's always commented on the videos. He likes it. We like Jay, so it's all good. Remember, all the places to support. Back to the balcony. Look for the microphone, the red background with Jimmy England. That's his podcast. He's on like probably season 7 at this point. I'm coming up soon on one of his episodes. The other show I'm on, A Touch of Gray Matter, right, with the boys. Zolf Ali, Dave Sokolowski, Thomas Patrice, myself. We put out weekly shows and just social commentary and just having some fun. You know, support your local comic book stores, right? So that's Wow Comics out in Kitchener, Check Swings out in Montreal. Boom, boom, boom. We are good. And Rod, where can we find you?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find me on the World Wide Web. Listen, I'm on Instagram. You can find me at Mr. Rod C. As well, you can find me on twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. I'm out there having fun. Listen, we're going to have some fun tonight. Find me, shout out, you know, when you come through on the Twitch, you know, say, hey, I saw you at Iconist. That's right. Come on, true. Hey, do a shout out, shout you out. You know, we're going to have some fun, man, with the Saturday Night Love, man, with the Saturday Night Love. Let's go. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode. What are we going to be talking about today? I don't know. Tell him, man. What are we talking about today?
A little hidden gem, an important character. Sometimes you have those characters that, even though might not seem to have a big role as the heroes are going bang, smash, they are the eyes, the ears to the gateway of their world. So we are talking about the icon is on Iconist, Rocket.
Rocket?
Not you mean Rocket like Raccoon?
Not the raccoon? We're not talking about the raccoon?
No, we are not talking about the raccoon. We are talking about Rocket from the comic book Icon.
That's that.
Right? This is so Rocket, she was a character in the Milestone comics, which was a division of DC. They were kind of independent. It was a black creative force behind these characters. So behind the scenes, they came up and working within DC, and then, you know, and they had their back and forth on creative differences. They did some great characters that we should not forget. And I'm not saying that just because they're black, they are great characters. And on top of it, then DC at one point, you know, did one of their crisis events and just kind of, hey, let's just put them all together under the DC banner. So why Rocket? Well, as I said before, Rocket is the gateway. And I think we should start with Rocket because she kind of is the eyes and the voice for herself and Icon. Right? You know, like Icon, I mean, simple, let's sum up Icon and real simple. Icon is Black Superman. Alien from a different planet, crash lands on Earth, sees the first person, coming because he sees the crash land, and he changes into a young black baby.
Baby. Yep.
Gets picked up and rescued, but he down south, and he's rescued by a young female slave, and she brings him. So he went through slavery. He experienced it firsthand, but he's long lived, right? And as being long lived, he's still alive in present day as a grown man, and he's taken his knowledge, his powers, and he's done what he can behind the scenes. So that's the best way I can do it. Instead of Superman crashing and growing up normally, he crash landed and said, hey, I'm gonna start off as a baby back then, and had to go through that. So his unique perspective is different. The fact that he went through those, slavery and Civil War and World War I and II and the Vietnam War and putting a man on the moon, and how technology is advanced, and the divisions that we've had in mankind, and the things that we've done as mankind as a unity to do good for what the world is. So how that is. And this is, you think that would be the hero, and he is the hero because it's his book. I mean, he's icon.
Right.
No, I know. I love saying icon. Don't forget the icon is us.
He's us.
Right. And we'll get to him. But what's interesting is the story. Icon ran for 40 something issues, and Rocket was there from issue 1 in different capacities, but the world is always told through her eyes.
Correct.
It's like Superman, Jimmy Olsen, but Jimmy is telling everything about Superman, and Jimmy's still going through his life without having superpowers, but hanging out with Superman, and knows that Superman is Clark Kent, and Clark is still there trying to help out Jimmy, but it's never told, by Clark Kent or Superman. It's like anytime you would think the hero would have a thought bubble, no, that thought bubble is not him having a thought bubble. Rocket is Icon's thought bubble.
Right. So this is the best thing about Rocket's character is basically Barry saying she is the eyes, she is the viewpoint. It's her point of view, her POV of what a superhero is, what an icon is, and we're gonna get into her. But basically, she is, as Barry said, the gateway, the opening crack into this Milestone universe, into what we know of Icon. And as we say, we'll be getting to Icon at another day. Trust and believe we shall return to that particular icon very shortly. But real talk, listen, you know what? Rocket, how do you want to start this? How do you want to start? You want to just go right in? We
start this, right? We're going to go into Rocket. So first of all, Rocket was, as I said, so it was Milestone Comics, which is a division of DC Comics. And, to get more on them, you can find stuff on the creators behind them. We're going to go with the creators, just really how we normally do. So the creators for Icon and Rocket was Dwayne McDuffie and Dennis Cohen. So they were the ones really behind Rockets, and Mark Bright, right? So this character was, let me go back here to my notes, right? So first appearance of Icon was, issue number 1, obviously in May 1993.
So this verse is not that far off. It's quite recent at least in the amount of characters that we brought to light and we brought to
it's true,
brought to the forefront. These characters is actually very recent within the last 20, 30 years, which is still relatively young for when we have iconic, spotlights on these characters.
Oh, for sure. That's when I had good hair.
Yeah. Did I even? No, I think I had
back then I was known as Barry with the good hair.
Barry with the good hair.
Forget Becky, I was Barry with the good hair. Barry, back in the days, that what was happening with me in the 90s. Oh man, I can tell you, it was I was heavily influenced by New Edition. So I had the Jerry curl with them kind of the mullet like Ralph Transvat. If it isn't love, why do I feel this way? Okay, let's not lie. I was more the Bobby Brown character without the substance abuse.
Right. Wow. At least I'll say hair wise, I was going with Gumby. I was doing the Gumby on the hour, I couldn't get my hair dyed up on one color. No, I will never be able to get that, but I can get the
No,
slant.
no.
I was able to sneak in and get the slant in my house. Trust and believe. Oh,
Yeah. What? That's the influence, man. Kwame, rock the polka dots. Come on now. Yeah, and Kwame, let me hear. Let me see. Okay, for a lot of you might not know Kwame, and a lot of you might know Kwame. Let me just say real quick, Kwame, talented singer, rapper, producer. He put his album together. He was out on the charts a lot, and Kwame's still around. I follow him right now on Instagram, and he is a huge comic book anime collector and still talks about it up to this day and age. He's got a huge collection. So Kwame, Mr. Rock the Polka Dots. Shout
out to Kwame. Shout out to
Kwame. Rock the polka dots. So now getting back to Rocket. So I know a lot of this information might seem like blurred and might seem like doubly. So I'm gonna try to really keep it for Rocket. So Rocket appeared in issue number 1 of Icon in May 1993 and created, as I said, by Dwayne, Denny, and Mark. And her introduction into the character was, I can see where influences come from, right? You know, and I pick up little things here and there. And I feel a lot of it reminds me of Batman Beyond.
Nice. Didn't even see that until you said that. I see the connection. Very nice.
Right? And
very nice.
Anyone listening, what we mean by Batman Beyond. So Raquel, that's her name. So Raquel Irvin. So she was born in Paris Island, poorest, most crime-ridden neighborhood in Dakota. And that's where a lot of these heroes are based off. And she comes up and she's hanging out with a group of guys. So it's her, 3 other guys. They see this nice big house. They decide to break into the house. And when they break into the house, that house is this particular guy, Augustus. You know, he's a lawyer, well off, but that's Icon. Yeah, you break into Superman's house. So they break into his house. He sees them, goes to apprehend them. Most of them escape. The other 3 escape. She kind of gets left behind. He sees her, and instead of dismissing her right away for breaking in, they seem to have like some kind of a conversation. And he's like, I'm going to help you, because Icon is very, he's conservative, where Raquel, because she hasn't Rocket yet, is very more open-minded. She's very liberal in her thinking.
Yes, she is.
And what I mean by the influence is same thing. Terry McGinnis pretty much broke into Wayne Manor, found the Batcave, got the suit, and took off with the suit. Right? You know, because I mean, Bruce came out, helped him. Yeah, he didn't technically break him, but Bruce came out, helped him. He passed out. He brought him in the house. Then he found the Batcave, found the Batsuit, realized 1 + 1 is 2, and took off. Boom, Batman Beyond. Here she is. She breaks into the house, finds the hero. They have their back and forth, and then he kind of reveals himself to her, and it's like, oh, you can fly? You're super strong? Where have you been?
Right. Where have you been for our community? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. And what have you done for our community? Where have you been? And I'll take you under my wing. And that's how that relationship starts. And when I mean relationship, I don't mean a romantic relationship. He doesn't look at her that way at all, ever. It's more of a mentor relationship. It's kind of, okay, you seem smart, but you're doing dumb stuff. How can I help you? I want to make a difference in your life.
Right.
So this is where that starts from issue 1. And they have, it's not the big superhero throwdown mashup. It's really a battle of ideologies.
Right.
Because her view is somewhat like how Bruce Wayne looks at Clark Kent, where he's like, you have all this power and you don't do, if I had your powers, I would do X, Y, and Z. And that's what she is. Like, if I had your powers, I would help out the community a lot more. It's like, what have you done for the community? You've made yourself successful. And Icon's a little bit jaded. He's like, well, I lived through slavery. Okay, but you lived through it. But what did you do about it?
Right. And this is the thing, because she came from the standpoint, he believed, like, again, like Barry said, he was a lawyer, he is a lawyer, and he did everything by the book. You know what? If you made the crime, you serve the time type of mentality. And right. If you want to work, if you need to make money, get a job. Don't steal. If if you did wrong, accept the consequences for that line. But as Rocket said, realizing that you have powers and everything, that you have these abilities, what have you done for your community? What have you done for your people in that regard? And the thing is, Augustus Icon always took it from his conservative side. Like, I've done stuff, in the front office. I've done stuff to be an upheld citizen, a representative of if you go the straight and narrow line, you will be successful like me type of scenario. But he didn't, but she's like saying, what about the struggle? How do you help me out? So what Barry is saying is that her liberal thought process actually not jaded him, but made him rethink his approach on how he's been doing
Yes.
things has been so wrong that he needs to reevaluate his approach on how he can be a better person, a better citizen, a better influence to the people around him. And this
Absolutely.
is why he decided, I'm going to take you up on your words. We're going to do something. And the scenario that is so funny is that Icon at this time is just an individual who has superpowers.
Yeah.
He never called himself Icon.
Nope.
He never thought himself again as a superhero. He was just saying, the Clark Kent aspect of it. I'm doing the straight and now. I'm doing the good. Wear my suit and tie. I'm lawyer up and everything like along that line. But she was the one who says, you need to do something with the gifts you have. You need to be an icon. An icon? What is that? You need to be a superhero. Name Icon. You mean you need Iconics? That's what you need to be. And I'll be Rocket. Who's Rocket? Your sidekick. Well, we'll get into that. But the great thing is that really and truly, we're looking at again from the point of view of Rocket. Raquel is the one who basically births Icon and Rocket.
Absolutely.
And that's the big thing.
Absolutely. Because he was content, right? So he was always content of being his lawyer. And his full name was Augustus Freeman the Fourth. And he was a corporate lawyer. And you said he was stuck on Earth, and it was Raquel who turned around and said, hey, you got to be an icon for our people. You got to be a symbol for us to look up to and have hope so we can have representation. That there says a lot, because if you're looking at the two main comic book companies, and I'm not going to independent, I'm just really talking Marvel and DC, and I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. Marvel did experiment a lot by having characters of a different ethnic background, where DC got late to the table. I think DC's first main character was Black Lightning. Was the first black character they had come to the forefront, right? And this is not a browbeating episode. I'm just stating facts. So this now with Icon, it's like, well, as we always say, as people of color, you want to have representation in any walk of life. You want to see black firemen and black police officers and black astronauts and pilots, and not just black. I mean, any person of color. You want to see something of yourself in those that you see and look up to be. And if not, then you have to be the first. You have to strive to be the first one. So if you don't see it, you got to be it.
Be it. Exactly.
As Ric Flair like to say, you got to beat the man to be the man, right?
Woo!
Woo! And that kind of transcends everything. So if you don't see an astronaut that represents any ethnic background or how you identify as a person in any field, not even astronaut, in any field, don't complain that you don't see it. That this means there's a door and a window of opportunity open for you to be the first to stamp that as you were the first. And it doesn't have to be something even over the top. It could be it could be small in other eyes, but a big win, So when you think of certain things in history, you're going to think of the first black person that did this, first Asian that did this, first transgender that did this, first bisexual that did this, or gay person. I don't get it. That's what I'm talking about. If you don't see it, be it. And this is where this is really good. And this ideology still stands true today. And this is back from 1993, where, first of all, I never heard of a whole bunch of black artists and writers getting together to make a universe. And then they were a part of DC, and they had a little office in the back of their DC's building. And they said, well, this is what we're going to do. And that was, all inspired. And those tales should resonate a lot more with people of color than maybe they probably ended up doing, and I'm not saying here or there how it should be. I know, yes, I'm walking the middle line because, as I said, this is a fun podcast and I'm not trying to be political or inject my views. This is supposed to be something that's enjoyable, right? So I'm just happy that we're talking about it. And she is talking about that from that point of view. Her point of view is, well, never seen another black superhero in Dakota. Could be you. You got the power. You're super strong. What have you done? Well, I'm a lawyer. That's cute. You've done well for yourself.
Good
but
on
he
you.
lives alone. He has no significant other. He doesn't have any children, nothing like that. So, and it's not to say that Raquel herself was a character she was just in a bad neighborhood trying to get by as best you can do. She fell in with a bad crowd. You know, everyone has past in life, and she just made a particular wrong choice at that moment. Doesn't mean she's a bad person, because she was an aspiring writer.
There you go. There you go. She was an aspiring writer. She wanted to be, like she said, Toni Morrison. She had creativity within her. So this is where that creativity overflowed with coming out with the idea of Icon and Rocket. Like Barry said, she was with, it's in the battle crowd. She was with some friends, and they made that decision to go and basically, break an entry to get, because they're, one of whoever the leader per se of that group was making the indication, like, you know what, we're going to go and break into the place. She never really wanted to. No. Again, being as liberal as was, she was trying to be as safe as possible, as saying, but, again, when you're with a crowd, sometimes you don't want to, under peer pressure, you're part of it. Yeah. But the good thing about it is that without that incident, she would have not met Augustus. And without that incident, she would not have been one to basically inject the idea for him to become who he is, as we know as Icon. So as the writer's aspect of it, great that they brought these characters together, brought this to our light, and again, showing this from her standpoint, because we'll get into it a little bit. There's her life and her, how she was later on in life. I'll come back to that slightly if Barry got any stuff to say, but I'll come back to where she, her life spans afterwards. But
yeah, no problem. I'm just going to interject here. So right now, yes, she's just a normal person, beginning to end. She's never gained superpowers.
Correct.
So Icon, she comes up with the idea with Icon. Icon says, okay, I'm going to do this. He's like, I'm going to be your sidekick. He's like, what? And then, he's not irresponsible. He's not going to put her in a bright colored costume while he's all in black costume and then bring her out at night as a young person and say, you can't drive the car, Batman.
Yes, father, I can drive the car better than you.
Yeah, exactly.
Damien.
So he still has technology from his spaceship, and he gave her this kind of belt from his spaceship, and that belt allowed her certain powers. It absorbed kinetic energy, so it's almost like a force field. Absorbed kinetic energy. She was able to redirect that kinetic energy like Sebastian Shaw from the Hellfire Club. So she can throw back anything she gets. The bigger the punch, the bigger she can punch someone back. It allowed her to fly and move around. So this is what her whole thing was. So this is how he in turn kept her safe.
Correct.
Right. And she still lived where she lived. She didn't move into the big mansion and it's like moving on up. This wasn't Different Strokes.
Yeah. She didn't become his ward. She didn't become his ward like others who have come, invited into the business.
Exactly. He went home to his mansion and she went back home to she was living with good times.
Right on. Good times.
Right. Okay. Moving on up. Yeah. So this is where it still gets interesting. And you can see he gets, obviously he sees her as, I wouldn't even say as a parent, maybe as a sibling, but definitely he wants to inspire her, and he likes that she's smart. She challenges ideals. So that's all I was gonna say. So that's where her powers come in. She gets this belt, boom, she can do these. She makes herself a costume. She's good to go, and she kind of opens his eyes to the world because he's very black and white and conservative. And she's like, well, no, you got to look at it from this point of view. And it's almost, you should know better, Icon. You went through some strife yourself. I mean, different planets, stranded, slavery, wars. Come on. So they clash ideas, but she makes him better. Right. So now there's points about her life that are very interesting. The at one point, as I said, she dealt with things that were happening. It happened even up to today. So she was a young girl, and her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend was part of that group of, one of the three other guys that helped, broke into Icon's apartment his house, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So she finds out later on in the storyline that she's pregnant.
Right.
And she's got a decision to make. And this, of course, goes things with Icon, like, okay, well, why do you do this way? And she's like, I'm pregnant. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to have the baby. I'm going to raise the baby.
Right.
Don't have to bother with the father. I'm going to do this independent woman. Like Neil, right? Yes, I'm dropping music references like a madman. And she decides to keep the baby. So, her ex-boyfriend, Noble, who was part of that gang. And it's funny, his name's Noble, but he's nowhere around, right? He wasn't noble what he did. He was just, okay, in, out, gone. But these are reflection of what life is.
Mm-hmm.
And this doesn't matter where it happens to everyone, regardless of color, where it's like, oh, you're pregnant? Then you vanish. And decides to turn around, keep the baby. And she gave birth to a son named Amistad Augustus Irving, right? And Amistad was named after the famous ship that brought the slaves over from Africa to America. So that's why she gave him that name. Augustus, of course, is the same name as Icon's name, Augustus Freeman. And then, of course, her last name. So during that time, she gave up adventuring because, come on, you can't be out there fighting off bad guys when you're pregnant. It's too dangerous. So she did the sensible thing. But she, after having a baby, she does go back because the calling is there and she still wants to help out as much as possible. And she still has to kind of walk Icon through her decision, why she's still going to have the baby, raise the baby, even when the guy's not going to be around. And Icon has his look on it, but at the same time, he grows to understand and respects her decisions. He's almost like the silent hand, like, okay, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. And he helps out here, tidbits, knowledge, wherever he can at times. She doesn't look at him just because he's got money. She doesn't lean on him at all that way.
Right.
So that was another interesting part. And then I think it was like pretty much the last issue of Icon. It went up to issue 42. She had to deal with the death of her grandmother. Right. And that whole issue 42, there is not one supervillain in that issue. There's not one punch in that issue. Nothing earth shattering to the rest of the population. But she's in an apartment, and in the apartment, it's her mom, her grandmother, and her young son. Mm-hmm. And, the grandmother was kind of propped up, sitting up, and she goes to see her grandmother, and her grandmother, times are tough. So the grandmother and the mom shared a bedroom, and then she was in another room with her son. So she goes to see her grandmother, and it's like, hey, grandma. And grandma's kind of sitting up, and then she realizes that her grandmother passed away. And that whole issue was so well written and touching that it showed how she had to deal with her grandmother passing away, how her mom was having problems with it because the mom couldn't even go back into the bedroom. I mean, they had to grieve, call the paramedics, had to take the body out. Her mom couldn't even go back into the bedroom to sleep in the bedroom because it was too much of the presence of her grandmother, of her mom that passed away. Right. We're not Raquel's mom, but Raquel's mom's mom, so just say the grandmother going forward. So the grandmother passed away and the mom couldn't go back into that room. It was just too much for her. And there was a whole interaction of them trying to do the funeral arrangements. And, Raquel's mom couldn't do it. Raquel had to step up and she had to make all the calls to all her grandmother's friends saying, okay, yeah, she passed away. She passed away. And during that time, she had a reflection, which is still, I think, proof up to now that she goes in during that whole, she starts at night, going right through the morning. She sat there. She goes, what's really sad is I never knew my grandmother as well as I thought I did.
Right.
When I'm talking to all these people, they're all telling me stories about my grandmother. I'm like, man, I never knew her as well as I did, and I should have. And now the bad thing is I never will get the chance to. It was almost like a wake-up call to say, hey, talk to your loved ones. Learn more about them than what you see on the surface, about your parents, your grandparents, your extended family. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a story. And I'm accused of that too. I mean, I'm not exempt from that. So, and that was really heartfelt. And then, at one point, she, her mom comes and says, okay, look, we got to go out, do some running around. And then a friend of the mom comes over. It's like, look, get dressed. I'm taking you out. She's like, well, I got the baby. It's like, oh, don't worry. My son will watch him. Now, us as fans, if you're reading the issue, you're like, see this guy come in and he's like, what? I will? And she leans over and she's like, yeah, you'll watch him. He needs to be changed. Diapers are over there and there'll be no static with watching my child, right? Because if not, I will hunt you down. And that boy was Virgil, Static Shock. She knows that Virgil is Static Shock. That was him in his civilian identity. He's like, yeah, no problem. There's no issues. So it's to show you how tight knit it is. And then the other thing is, and keep in mind, even though this is in Icon's book, you're not seeing Icon. And then Icon, he shows up because at one point they're at the funeral parlor. They're looking at coffins, and then she sees the price of a coffin. And the guy, even at the selling the coffin, he's kind of a little bit talking down to both of them. Mm-hmm. And then, Augustus walks in and he's like, yeah, I'm the grandmother's lawyer. Don't worry about it. I know you guys don't have the money. The state there's a anonymous donation that will cover all funeral expenses. I'm her lawyer and I'm representing to make sure everything is done. Yeah, but we're getting that one. And got like the high end stuff. And pretty much, the anonymous donation came from, Augustus himself, Icon himself. Right. And even he looked at the guy and the guy was being kind of sheepish. He's like, yeah, we'll cover everything. He's like, I didn't even tell you the bill. I go, do I ask how much it was? I told you all costs are covered, period. Okay. And, there's a little interaction between Rocket and Icon at one point. They made sure the mother was out. She came back in and she's like, look, thank you kind of thing. And he's like, no, it's an anonymous donation. And he's just kind of smiling. And he goes, don't worry about it. I'm here for you.
Right.
That there shows you how they are in that aspect. It shows you how the characters come in and how I think Rocket is really important to this world because she's us as the readers, our eyes and ears into everything. And I know at times they were talking about trying to even make a relationship between her and Static, but the writers never kind of went that way. And then at the end of that issue, you realize that Dwayne, made a tribute to a loved one that he lost. So I'm not sure if it was dedicated to his grandmother or his mother. I'd have to look at that. And when we do Icon, I'll have more answers on that one. But that shows you the connection between them and the honesty of how well it was written, how well she was written as a character.
Right. So I just want to interject a couple of stuff because this is the great thing. Like we're looking at Rocket from as a point of view for the Icon. I'll say Icon as you heard that. I nearly slipped it in there. Icon. How he is on how she is through that show. I mean through that episode. Or sorry, that comic Icon. Yeah. But the great thing about it is that Raquel has been part of the story even long afterwards. Barry's talking about the great parts about how she started having her son and basically going through a whole bunch of trials and tribulation. But I just thought of it earlier and I was going to skip coming back to it right now before I forget. The great thing I liked about all this is if you understand what you're hearing is so close to detail, realism, real issues that are written out through here that you can literally see and feel what the writers are trying to tell us. You can see it laying out step by step. It is making sense. The flow of it just makes so much sensible. Starting off with, I normally have the typical writing, arc of, kids being malicious and crazy and everything. We're going to try to break into a place. No problem. Great. But then having the ability to kind of, influence Icon to make him, look at it the way he is, make it like, make him look at himself to realize like, I could do better as an individual. I may be an alien on this planet, but I can do better for myself and those around me. That's good writing. Showing how, as Barry was saying, going through, life situations with grandmother dying, how she picked up the phone and did all that type of calling and stuff like that. That just shows you the realism of a situation that, that actually is happening. Having a child, being a single parent, having a child, and how the not even not the struggles, but the viewpoint of trying to find that work balance, work and and life balance of saying, I want to be a hero, I want to do good, but I have my son that I have to take care of.
Yeah.
The whole thing is great, and I would even jump ahead then, because Rocket is still a recognizable and a character even up to this day and age. We can jump across to later on, like we find her in Icon. She shows up in different aspects of television and
Yes.
and so forth in that kind of scenario. But the most recent and the most recognizable one is of late is is in Young Justice.
Yep.
Young Justice. And the great thing about it is that they brought back that character multiple times. So luckily it wasn't like a one time off, but they kept bringing her back. And I will even say, because the last ones I'm seeing her right now at this time is Young Justice Phantom.
Mhm.
The latest one that I just saw was also in the sense where she had to go on a mission to go to New Genesis.
Mhm.
She had to go there, but she had to literally get herself ready. And at this time now, these are years. This was easily 5 or 6 years from the time she had her son. So now Amistad is an older. He's like 5 or 6 years old, and the series starts off. The episode starts off with her having to get herself ready and him ready to leave from her house to go drop off her son at the father's house because she has to go away on a mission. And you find out at this point that Amistad is um,
Autistic.
autistic,
Right.
right? And the whole things that she has to do, that she goes through, in the sense of these are normal day-to-day activities a parent or an individual who has an autistic child, what they will have to go through, and realize like that made me realize like this character is just more than just a superhero putting on
Yes.
tights, putting on an inertial belt and flying around and fighting crime. We're now looking again the point of view of what she's going through as a single parent, trying to find that work balance life, and have her son that she's taking care and love, and basically having to. That episode was all about the father saying, "Hey, it's great. Listen, he's here. Um, we got to talk about the schooling and stuff like that." So we're even that show didn't even start like within 5 minutes. We're now getting so many family details that she has to go through to now leave Earth to be a delegate to try to find a peace treaty between the New Gods and Earth and and the Justice League, something
Mhm.
into that realm. But it's just showing that the amount of responsibility she has, that she is a character that
Yeah.
wasn't used as a small individual. It wasn't a small time character. They've written her properly and nicely, that from the beginning of her inception to the world of comics, into the world of Milestone, into the world of DC, that she was a character that had a lot to bring to the table, and that she was basically letting you know that I'm not I may be calling myself a sidekick, but I'm a sidekick who has purpose, and I'm letting you know why I'm
Yeah.
here.
And that's what I was saying. Like, I mean, a lot of times the sidekick is they're learning from the hero, right? In this case,
Yeah,
she's teaching the hero. So, I
teaching.
wouldn't even put her, I mean, putting a sidekick is just really like it's just
Just
a term we have to
it's
put
a
her into, but
right.
I don't see her as a sidekick. And to show you, like, I mean, look, Rocket turns around and at one point there's the Blood Syndicate, which is another team within the Milestone
Mm-hmm.
universe.
Yeah,
And you have a character called Flashback, and he's
yeah.
fighting an addiction to crack cocaine, and she's there with him to help him through this addiction the whole time. So
Come on now.
this is how much this character has done. She's helped out Icon, she's helped out Flashback, and then this is all within the Dakota universe. And then when they kind of merge up is in the DC universe. When they finally get over is during the final crisis, and when the death of Darkseid, one of my favorite new gods. You can go back and see me doing an unboxing video with Darkseid when I got him, back for my birthday. This storyline turns around, and that's when the Dakota universe and the DC universe finally merge into one, right? They did a Crisis
Mm-hmm.
of Infinite Earths, saying merge into one. Everyone from both universes now forget that there was another universe on either side. It's just one. They're in the DC
One.
universe, merge. Everything is sweet, done, tidied up. The only people that know there's another universe is Superman and Icon. Icon knew there was another universe, his own Dakota universe. And they're the only ones that know of it. Everyone else, the Blood Syndicate, Hardware, Rocket, they all think, oh yeah, I was always on this universe. Because that knowledge got wiped out. The only people that know, as I said, is Superman and Icon, which shows you the level of Icon as how he's supposed to be seen, right? I'm not joking when I say he's Black Superman. So with Raquel going through being a superhero, a single mother, dealing with day-to-day issues, and like true day-to-day issues that everyone will experience, losing a loved one, maybe seeing someone on addiction and helping them out as best as possible, putting the positive foot forward, making mistakes and trying to atone for your past. This character is the character they should have turned around and CW should have done a show on instead of Naomi. And I'm not knocking Naomi. Naomi was too new. Yeah. She didn't have enough roots. This is enough character that would have fit what I call the CW drama for them to really pull off, and then still have a gateway to bring an Icon. They could have done a whole universe, but and that's my whole point. This universe can exist, and it's weird. If you want to re-represent the vision that I think I'm interpreting here that Dwayne had, was he had Icon and Rocket, but start off with Rocket and then let Icon come in. Icon, that it still worked. So that's my views of it. Once again, I know there's things you can find online to talk more about it. We, as usual, are going to fan cast this thing. We go fan cast. When I say this thing, I mean the comic book. So we're only going to do one. It's all about Rocket.
Today's Rocket.
Icon will be a different day. So we are going to fan cast Rocket right now. So if you had to do Rocket, Rod, who would you fan cast it? In what genre would you see it? Would you see it as a TV series, streaming series, movie? How and who do you got? Who do you got? Hit me.
Okay, so here I'm gonna bring somebody that is already known. This person has already done some type of superhero, has done a superhero type of I keep saying type, a superhero character.
Right.
And it's actually not far in that same universe, but it's not a Dakotaverse. It's really be more on after the merge. So if anything, we're going to go with, like you said, the storyline will be from the Dakotaverse. I was going to go with China Ann McClain. China Ann McClain was playing one of the daughters from Black Lightning. It was the younger daughter, Lightning.
Right.
So the bigger one, the older one was Thunder.
Yes.
Remember, he had his two girls, right?
Yeah.
So the younger one, China, I would have her. Now someone could say, well, she's already in that universe. Yes, but no. If normally, I would just say the only reason why I would say that is because if we're going to try to pull it through with Black Lightning is, we normally hear about Black Lightning. We don't hear about his children. No, his characters are actual in the world, in that universe, but you don't really hear about his children. So we, if they ever, if they were to reboot, because I gotta say, we're bringing it back, he's already here, but if we were to reboot it in that sense, then we can look at that bridge at that point. But I would say I will go with China. Now, because I'll go with China is because she's already played that type of character. So she's already accustomed to playing the superhero genre. Someone might say it's a low-hanging fruit for me. I don't think so, because I like the sassiness. I like the sassiness because we're already saying,
okay,
Raquel is a very liberal person and will speak her mind. China, although she was a character in she has that ability. It's like, I mean, she was like, you can watch the show and realize that she was the one who had no holds bar. Both of the young ladies were. But China definitely left with that impression. So if I'm going to think of having a Rocket, I would go with China.
Okay.
China and McClain.
Okay, see that. I can see that. All right. And would you? And now, are you thinking?
Here's the scenario is. I would do it as we always listen. I swear, CW just need to have listen. Keep our numbers on your phone because we keep coming back to you with possible ideas. Now, great again. China already had a CW chick. Guess what? We're gonna help China get another CW chick. That's how I'm looking.
CW.
China gets another CW chick. This is what I'm talking about. It only makes sense. As Barry
Okay.
said, Rocket has the ability to. There's enough story. The character is deep and wide, and has enough. You can throw. You can literally throw any real life scenarios,
Right.
write stories,
Right.
interject Rocket in, and it will make sense. Especially when we go from doing this from the point of view from her towards Icon versus saying Icon and his sidekick and Icon and Rocket. This is really Icon and Rocket.
Yeah.
We're
She's the
emphasizing
protagonist
on
in the
Rocket.
story. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Okay. I got you. And I'm gonna come back at you here. So I hear you. So once again, I'm with you on this one. CW, yeah, you better keep your number on dial, right? We gotta be on speed dial. CW. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now, son.
Come on, son.
Come on, son. Ed Lover. Hit it. That's right. I'll do my Ed Lover dance.
There you go.
Ed Lover and Dr. Dre, not the Dr. Dre. But anyways, so I'm going with as an actress, Lovie Simone. Right? So Lovie, Lovie Simone, or Lovie Simone Opong. Right, so she's a married actress, and she played a role, Zora Greenleaf in the Oprah Winfrey Network, Greenleaf.
Okay.
Right now, if you look at her, especially on depending what hairstyle she's rocking, not the braids, but when she lets her hair out and she's got it more on one side, she really looks like Rocket. Like she looks like Raquel.
Okay.
She's on an own network, Greenleaf. And that had, if I remember right, Greenleaf was a kind of a church drama saga going on. Okay.
Okay.
That's all I got to say. Not because I can't say nothing else. It's because the show would speak for itself for what she can do as a character, right? So it was a drama. It ran for 5. Greenleaf was a drama, ran for 5 seasons, and it was, dealing with the Greenleaf family, which runs a sprawling Memphis mega church.
Okay.
So you got the church aspect in there, which would go through the liberal views and, promoting not to punch someone first, but to understand and live and go through those choices. That there alone, if she brings aspects from that role into this role with the source material, she's got the acting chops. She's got the background with the source material, so she can understand it. She can apply one to the other, being a drama and doing that. Yes, that's who I'm going with. Young actress, give that child a paycheck. Give her, I would say child. I mean, I'm way older than her, but give that young adult there a paycheck. She looks like the character. Okay. She can play the role, and giving her a lead, I think that is it. And it said, CW, I understand what you're trying to do, and I respect that. But Naomi didn't have enough meat on the bone for your writers to sink in. With Raquel, Rocket, there, and the only thing I would say is maybe if you're gonna have to do it as Icon and do Icon and Rocket, is fine. If you want to do just one as Rocket by herself, all right. I think we'd have to update the name, because I think the name's a little bit too generic in a sense, and that's my only thing. Is, I mean, you say Rocket, people are gonna think Rocket Raccoon. No, it's Rocket, right? There's Rocket Racer, which is another person from the Marvel universe. So there's many. So maybe a tweak on the name, something like that. But with all that aspect of daily life, and then you add the superhero aspect to it, and her teaching the strongest person on the planet how to be, okay, that's it. He ain't teaching her, she's teaching him. The strongest person on the planet, and the one person that he's gonna listen to is her.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
That is it there from me.
Okay then. No. I like. Definitely, I'm seeing that she's also. So I also see that she also did. Lovey is also at least recently finished up with Power Book 3.
Right.
So she's part of that series as well. So I mean, if you're on that series, you can't be skittish. You can't be like
Nope.
timid on that one.
Oh, you know what?
So
That's even better yet. Sorry. Side note. 50.
Pause. We'll come back on that one. What?
50.
What?
Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent, has been producing some wicked episodes with Power, the writing, and all that. If you want to get a little bit of the greediness with the 50, come on now. He's done the gangster stuff, and I know he's doing this whole Black Mafia family gangster stories that he's bringing to light, and he's telling them on different networks. Star, you need something. Okay, CW, you got your chance, but you got to act quick. If not, 50, look into it. If anyone's going to get street life with these characters, I'm not talking about making it thuggish, just understanding what these characters are living day to day, and then you're throwing a superhero aspect into it.
Very nice.
Curtis Jackson, with what he's doing right now and the actors that he's putting on the map, giving them a spotlight.
Right.
Come on, if you look at Power, Ghost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It could definitely be. That's definitely something for him to put on the table. That
With the
work
whole
out.
Milestone universe. Come on now, man.
Wow. Listen, someone get this to 50. Honestly, 50. This is a basic move that you can grow up, because this is just groundwork that you can just
50
take
is
this
a
and go
businessman.
hard right. Go with
Let's
a hard
talk
right
about
on this.
Yeah, 50 is a businessman.
Yes.
So you heard everything we had to say on the Iconis podcast. Here it is. We're going to do this for the whole month. 50, Curtis, Mr. Jackson, let me tell you something right now, right? This is a Black-owned, Black-operated podcast. It's grassroots. It's who you see is who you see right off the bat. Okay, that's one. Two, the Milestone universe is Black-owned creators doing for the culture. You are doing for the culture right now. So you as a businessman, money man, let's talk numbers. If you look at what superhero movies are doing for the respective studios, be it if it's Marvel, part of Disney, or it's, DC, part of Warner Brothers, look at the numbers. You got the writers, you got the vision. You can make this happen. Right. Anyhow, you do that. Bring us along and we'll support.
Yes.
We brought this to you. Right? I was with you back in the club. And I'm not even talking the Super Bowl performance. I'm talking back in the day when you came out. Go, 50. You know what I mean? Go, shorty. I was in the club, but when Rod was spinning that record, I was hurting my hip.
Hilarious. But it's so true. Honestly, 50, if you get, making it sound like we're talking to the man directly, but
yes, we are.
No. But I'm being real. I'm being real that this is actually an idea that you could definitely generate something from. You can build something up. You can organically come up with something with this, because if you know what? Here's the best way of saying this. 50. Depending when you get this and you see this, you may catch us at the beginning of the month. And if you're getting at the beginning of the month, rest assured, stay tuned for the next few weeks, because we're going to be going off. I'm just going to say, potential spoilers, but my suggestion would be, so stay tuned. You may hear some other characters that we may talk about. We did say we'd talk about Icon, but there could be others. But I'm just going to say,
world building.
We're world building. So we could be, in a wonderful sense, giving us some nice foundational ideas to think and to grow off of. And if that's the case, listen, feel free to just, give us a holler, link us up, man.
Ding, ding, ding.
I gotta take this guy, this guy's serious. So let's do this. But you know what? It's honestly not a bad idea. And if you ever get a chance to, 50, anybody, when you go back and just check a couple of our podcasts, you'll see that sometimes when we have these type of conversations, we may just sit into like, that's an idea right there. There's something to build off of. And this is really, that's why when Barry's just saying that, I'm like, wait a minute.
It's so organic. It
makes sense.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. Something to definitely investigate, something to look into. And if you do, listen, feel free to hit us up.
Tag 50. I'm tagging 50 on all this, man. I'm tagging 50. I'm tagging 50 on all this. All right, man.
He's
Cool.
been tagged. What am I gonna say? He's been tagged. All right, cool.
All right, then. So
Yeah.
on this note, we're bringing an end to this podcast. Remember, Rocket is a real cool character and a lot of meat on that bone, so to speak. A lot of gateway into that universe. Check it out. Go back, read Icon, see where she goes, see her journey in all the arts from Milestone to DC onto media into Young Justice, Phantoms, and watch how that story arc is going. And she keeps growing and growing and growing. Right on.
Yep.
50, holla brother. Right? And I always like to say, this whole world has been brought to you by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming.
Let's go. Let's go.
Out.
Reboot.
No, we're not part of G Unit.
No, don't.
No, we're not part of G Unit. But
I don't need this guy to come for me, man.
Yeah.
You see those guys? You see his arms?
Because I don't want to go after someone. Whoa,
you see his arms? You see his arms?
Yeah. I mess with him.
Yeah,
no disrespect. No disrespect. We just having a good time. Business, man. Holla.
We're out.